Great sports teams start with great ownership. The Chicago Bulls' 90s dynasty was legendary because Jerry Reinsdorf was hands-off. Elsewhere, Robert Kraft hired Bill Belichick, let him do his business, and got to celebrate 6 Super Bowl championships as owner of the New England Patriots because of it. On the flip side, the worst teams in sports usually consist of owners who do careless things and show no appreciation or regard for the fans whatsoever. Here are the 10 sports teams who simply don't care about their fans. Number 10. Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates are owned by billionaire Bob Nutting, but they operate like a team that has practically zero financial resources. Nutting has been the Pirates' principal owner since 2007. The team slowly but surely began to turn a corner in the early 2010s, earning wildcard berths 3 years in a row from 2013 to 2015. In 2013, the Pirates pushed the eventual NL championship St. Louis Cardinals to 5 games in the NLDS. They were just 1 game short of the NLCS, but Nutting refused to open up his wallet for more superstar players during the ensuing offseason. The Pirates began a gradual decline in 2016, and after missing the postseason, Nutting seemingly used it as an excuse to keep all of his money to himself. Fan favorites and all-stars like Andrew McCutchen and Garrett Cole were traded away for minimal returns, and the Pirates went back to being one of the worst teams in baseball from there. Fans got so fed up with Nutting's cheapness that a disgruntled supporter started a Change.org petition for MLB to force him to sell. It reached over 60,000 signatures. Nutting quickly alienated himself from the Pirates fan base by showing zero desire to win. Billionaire Bob just couldn't throw a bit of money around to keep his star players and sustain a contender. That's when you know a team doesn't really care about its fans. Number 9. Minnesota Timberwolves. Glenn Taylor has been the owner of the Timberwolves since 1994. And yes, he's a major reason why they've been awful more often than not over the past quarter century. I mean, who did he get to accommodate franchise legend Kevin Garnett again? Oh yeah, nobody. Speaking of Garnett, the guy said he wouldn't do business with Taylor, whom he referred to as a snake. So yeah, he then criticized Kevin Love after the all-star big man was traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Glenn, why would Love stay on a horribly mismanaged team when he could go win a title with LeBron James? And the way Taylor handled the entire Jimmy Butler trade request and the Tom Thibodeau saga in the 2018-2019 season was brutal. The T-Wolves fans quickly turned against Butler, who was traded to the Philadelphia 76ers for a lackluster return. And remember when the T-Wolves traded away Andrew Wiggins to the Golden State Warriors? So, is it an unwritten rule where Taylor has to move on from practically every franchise star he gets, rather than build around them? Taylor obviously doesn't care that Minnesota consistently ranks near the very bottom in NBA attendance. If he cared, he'd spend some money in free agency and actually try to keep his star players. Number 8. New York Jets. Brothers Woody and Christopher Johnson own the Jets, and they certainly aren't very good at it. The one nice thing the Jets owners do is sign checks. They've never been afraid to throw big money around. Look no further than the signings of guys like Darrelle Revis, Tremaine Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, and CJ Mosley, among others. But otherwise, there isn't much regard for them as owners. With Woody serving as the United States ambassador to the United Kingdom, he's basically shielded from the public and media scrutiny, or at least he doesn't have to deal with it on a consistent basis. That's too bad, because if Woody was in New York more often, maybe he and Christopher would try to make the team better, but instead, they've hired unqualified head coaches. Hello, Adam Gase, and unqualified GMs. Hi, Mike McGannigan, to run a sinking ship. There's always locker room drama in New York. The players are always fighting with coaches, the GMs are always committing mind-numbing mistakes, and the Johnsons get to laugh away in their mansions in private jets without a care in the world. Trust us, Jets fans, if they cared about you, they'd try to help your team win, which they clearly haven't been doing for the past decade. Number 7. Seattle Mariners. When you haven't made the playoffs since 2001, which, by the way, stands as the longest active playoff drought among all franchises in the Big Four North American sports leagues, you can point the finger at the very top. The Mariners owners have never been big spenders. During the franchise's heydays in the 90s, they were owned by Hiroshi Yamauchi, the president of Nintendo. Yamauchi actually never attended any Mariners games, and he was represented by Nintendo of America president Howard Lincoln. Lincoln served as the Mariners CEO. The M's didn't use their financial resources to retain key players like Ken Griffey Jr., Alex Rodriguez, or Randy Johnson. And that hasn't changed much under current owner John Stanton. Rather than focus on the present and trying to build a contender, the M's love running gimmicky throwback stuff to celebrate their success from 2 decades ago. They run a ridiculous amount of these bubblehead nights, and you gotta love these guys commercials too. We get it, you want to focus on family entertainment with your funny promotions, commercials, etc. But the fans want a winner. And when you run practically every star out of town without establishing a clear franchise direction, you obviously care more about making money than winning. If only the M's ownership tried a little harder to give the fans what they really want, and that's a winner! Number 6. Los Angeles Chargers. Well, for starters, Dean Spanos basically said, "See you later, suckers," to the loyal and passionate San Diego fans of 55 years when he relocated the team to Los Angeles in 2017. It was a total snake of a move by the Chargers owner. The diehard passion from the Chargers fans in San Diego never went away, but Spanos decided to relocate the team to a bigger market when he could have kept his focus on bringing a new stadium to the city instead. Spanos tainted his legacy with that. He had no reason to move the team other than the fact that he's a sellout who's only interested in making more money. And sorry, but LA isn't the biggest football city, and now the Chargers have to compete with the Rams, who already have an established LA fan base from their earlier stint in La La Land. Since moving to LA, Chargers games have been packed with visiting team fans. Not that Spanos cares. Regardless of which fans are watching his team, as long as people are paying money for tickets, he's happy. Oh, and remember when he went against the wishes of Chargers fans by firing Marty Schottenheimer in favor of Norv Turner after the Chargers went 14-2 during LaDainian Tomlinson's MVP season? Chargers fans in LA ought to know what the Chargers fans in San Diego have already learned. Spanos doesn't care about you. Number 5. Miami Marlins. To be fair, the Marlins ownership hasn't been as rocky under Bruce Sherman and Derek Jeter, but it hasn't been great by any means either. Honestly, it's the damage done by former owner Jeffrey Loria that landed Miami on this list. Loria enraged a lot of loyal folks when he used taxpayers' money to build Marlins Park. Beautiful stadium, sure, but the attendance has always been downright depressing in the new ballpark. Money poorly spent, Jeff. Ahead of Miami's move into the new ballpark, the team spent big money on free agents Heath Bell, Mark Burley, and Jose Reyes. But the Marlins played well below expectations and finished 69-93 in 2012, dead last in the NL East. In the offseason, Loria traded away key players in Reyes, Burley, Josh Johnson, John Buck, and Emilio Bonifacio as a part of a blockbuster deal to the Toronto Blue Jays. That was a giant screw you to the fans. Loria basically decided to tank one season after using the taxpayers' money to build his own ballpark. Not that Sherman and Jeter fared much better when they traded away franchise star Giancarlo Stanton and other stalwarts like JT Realmuto, Christian Yelich, and T. Gordon for the sake of saving money. Loria really showed how much he didn't care about the fans. But it doesn't matter who's in charge, the team will never spend to retain its star players. They just dump the money when they get the chance. That's a bad look on the Marlins owners. Number 4. Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars ownership and management really come off as a group who don't mind losing. For starters, how did GM David Caldwell's last 8 seasons go there? Despite 7 seasons of 6 wins or less, he got chance after chance to turn the ship around. And how has Doug Marrone lasted this long as a coach? What, because of one fluky run to the 2017 AFC Championship game? Not to mention, the Jaguars have run several superstars out of town. Jalen Ramsey, Calais Campbell, Yannick Ngakoue, the list goes on. There are always rumors about Khan relocating the team to London. He has plenty of business expenditures outside the US after all. He is the owner of Fulham FC too. Khan is worth billions, yet his team still ranks at the bottom of the league in terms of payroll. It's no wonder the team struggles to put butts in the seats. But Khan doesn't seem to care. He'd rather save his money and watch the team and fans suffer rather than spend to build them a winner. Number 3. Ottawa Senators. The Senators owner Eugene Melnick just doesn't get it. The team made a surprise run to the 2017 Eastern Conference Final, falling just 1 game short of reaching the Stanley Cup. Afterwards, Melnick's ignorance and ego took over. Before the Senators hosted the Montreal Canadiens in the 2017 NHL 100 Classic outdoor game, Melnick threatened to relocate the team due to a lack of sellout crowds, even though attendance was still solid all around. Melnick, renowned for being the epitome of cheapness, proceeded to run franchise favorites like Erik Karlsson, Mark Stone, Kyle Turris, Matt Duchene, Ryan Dzingel, and J.G. Pageau out of town. Why? Well, he didn't want to pay him. Melnick clashed with media members and even said he wouldn't blow a lifetime of working hard to support a hockey team. Well then, Eugene, why do you own a hockey team in the first place? Senators legend Daniel Alfredsson even said the team needs a new owner. Fans retaliated to Melnick's games by placing #MelnickOut billboards across the city, igniting a war between the team's owners and its fans. If that's not a perfect example of a sports team showing zero regard for its fans, then hey, what is? Number 2. New York Knicks. When the NBA commissioner has to sharply criticize you, you're obviously doing something wrong. In 2007, then-Commissioner David Stern said the Knicks are, quote, not a model of intelligent management. Owned. James Dolan, much like Melnick, has seemingly happily made himself public enemy number 1 in the Big Apple. His inability to properly run the Knicks is why. Never mind the insanely expensive Larry Brown and Isaiah Thomas hirings or all the horrible contracts, it's Dolan's relationship with the Knicks fans that's utterly humiliating to observe. In 2015, Dolan harshly responded to a disgruntled fan's email by suggesting publicly that the fan's life is a mess. He also accused the fan of possibly being an alcoholic, and to top it all off, Dolan then advised the fan to cheer for the Brooklyn Nets instead. And in 2019, Dolan threatened to ban a fan from MSG for yelling at him to sell the team. Disgruntled Knicks fans responded by selling these shirts, which MSG security confiscated. Dolan can't handle the criticism from the long-suffering Knicks fans. This team has become the laughingstock of the NBA under his ownership. And because he does nothing to make the team better, it's clear which fans he cares about. None of them. Maybe Knicks fans should follow his advice and just cheer for the Nets. See how he reacts. Number 1. Washington football team. Yes, Washington suddenly has a bright future with head coach Ron Rivera and young franchise cornerstone Chase Young and Terry McLaurin leading the charge. But let's not forget the damage that Dan Snyder created over his first 20 years as owner. From selfishly refusing to drop the old team name, to banning signs at FedEx Field, to suing an elderly lady for having to surrender her season tickets, Snyder is the epitome of an owner who has zero love for the fans. Snyder has been unquestionably the worst owner in sports since he took over this once proud franchise in 1999. We don't even have to focus on his many horrible GM or head coach hirings, or his constant free agent signings that turned into flops. Snyder also called for writer Dave McKenna to be fired for criticizing him, even threatening a lawsuit. From suing fans to banning stadium signs, you name it. Snyder seems to take joy in letting his fans know he doesn't care about them. But hey, what other sports teams don't care about their fans? Join us in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.